All right, welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered here by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to our crew online at GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Oh,
we're all
looking around like, dude, why is this thing coming out of the microphone?
We all have internet now. Surround sound.
The internet's back.
Yeah, we just bumped up.
The dumbass that hit the line from AT&T the other day finally restored it and got us back up and moving over here off of Government Street. So we're back. We got internet. It's tough to do digital media without the internet.
I don't understand how that took so long.
They must have screwed it up.
I mean, they must have really
screwed it up.
That was a long time.
I know I did 3 drive-bys yesterday.
Everybody was talking.
The third time I was driving up, they were kind of like...
Yeah, this guy's casing the place.
Right.
This guy all right?
Yeah, we had cops...
Where's the foreman? Let me talk to the guy in charge here. Obviously, none of you know what's going on.
All standing outside, hands in pockets.
Yeah, right. Hey, man, you got a lighter? Yeah, I got some. Here's some gasoline, too, bro.
We tried that.
I mean,
we had that going on. We had AKs down the street.
Unreal.
Whenever we were leaving at like 9:30, Brian walks out and he's like, "Cops got a couple of AKs down on the block. If you want to go see," I was like,
unreal, dude. I drove to
I
I had a meeting at WAFB, and AFB was like sending a team out, like going to
Partners.
cover.
What happened?
And I was like, I hope y'all are going by the office, huh? They're like, 200 block of Magnolia coming out. Like, absolutely, man.
Come on in. Triage.
So supposedly, some dude up in St. Francisville, somebody was raiding St. Francisville.
Oh, okay.
And
They
was
stole
going
a
up
lot of
there
stuff.
and going and
Okay.
stealing a lot of stuff. And I mean, they cased the place. I mean, like the cops were around the block.
Well, why'd they end up here? So they brought this stuff from St.
Yeah,
Francisco
so I mean,
back
like,
to where
I guess
they
this
live?
is where the guy lives.
Oh my gosh.
Called a trap house, Katie.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yesterday,
I think it's a
yesterday,
it's all on the walls
trap.
and stuff.
I'm pulling out, and there is a BRPD standing in the middle of government, like with a
Like Fallujah.
rifle. Yes, it
Wow.
looked like third world country. I
That's
mean,
when
it
you
looked
know
like
it's
a
bad.
war zone.
Afghanistan out here.
And I mean, just like guns drawn at the door. Like, what the hell is going on here, bro?
They do call BR the rat.
I called back to the office. I'm like, Brian, bro, step outside.
Should we
Take a
live
look to
stream
your
this?
left.
Don't step outside.
I mean, this is content, bro.
Stream.
Get a
Hurry up,
camera.
hurry up.
Start rolling.
What are you here for?
Rowan had a long conversation with me about not to get in the crossfire. Like, live my life, don't get caught in the crossfire. And he's like, you'll know where to not go.
Yeah.
That's where to not go.
Yeah.
Little ways down
Yeah,
Government
don't go
Street.
left or right if you're not in your car.
Exactly.
You walking. You
know.
might walk up on
Block is
something you
hot.
don't want to walk up on. Hello. How are you
That's
doing?
scary.
And we're marked. I forgot about our graffiti.
Well, you're marked.
Yeah, maybe we're safe because of that.
Maybe so. Maybe
We
that
were
was
protected.
It. I don't
Maybe
remember what it
maybe
said,
somebody was
but
giving us like a safe haven.
that
Yeah.
was weird. No one ever figured out what that meant.
What?
matter.
No,
The graffiti.
it's gone now, huh?
I mean,
No,
I
it's
mentioned
still-
it. I mentioned it to that friend of mine at BRPT. I mean, it's just.
He knew what it meant.
And it's just gang. He didn't know exactly what it meant,
That's
but I
so
mean,
scary.
he's like, I mean, that's definitely something, bro.
It's
Yeah.
not fully gone. I mean, it's still, it wouldn't fade all the way
Remnants.
off. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's still kind of there.
Just BR these days, bro.
Welcome in.
Welcome back
Ain't nothing
for
but a
you.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Stand off in the middle of the street. Make sure and hit that like
so
button,
many
share
things to
button,
say.
comment button. Don't mean to start off with bad news because today is September 1st, and September 1st usually means that it is officially football season. And it is here, man. I mean,
I should have wore the
it
helmet
is
this morning.
here.
Katie tossed me
We
that.
got it
Give me that
tonight.
helmet
They got
right now.
3 games on the docket. We're betting all 3 of them. West Virginia, Pittsburgh,
Oh.
Central Michigan at
Backyard brawl.
Oklahoma State, and Ball State taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. That'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff for you, where the Vols are favored by 35.5 points. Give me the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Week 1. That's a lot of points, huh?
Stanford, huh?
Oh yeah, you think
Going
so?
up to
That's a
Stanford.
lot,
That's a
of,
lot of
points. Caesar Sportsbook has it at 35.5. They've also got Central Michigan 21.5 point dogs at Oklahoma State, and then Pittsburgh replacing their quarterback is 7.5 point favorites at home tonight versus West Virginia, according to our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. Remember, you can get over to the app, download the app. Make sure you use the promo code FM15 for your opportunity to risk up to $1,500 risk-free when you bet with our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Cool announcement from us over here at FM Digital Media. We will be down on Sunday live from Lucy's 1 to 3 o'clock. Compliments of our friends over at RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and his crew, putting on a tailgate. These dudes, like this crew, they're tailgating fanatics. I had no idea just how psychotic they are. But they are they're loony for tailgating, and they're actually giving you an opportunity. They're selling tickets for a bus trip that's leaving Baton Rouge Sunday morning at 9:30 and returning after the game. So if you want a bus trip from Baton Rouge, I think they're meeting at the Home Depot on Highland Road.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sunday morning. And
get you a couple 2x4s because we're going to war.
$80,
Right?
$80 round trip ticket.
That's not bad.
$80 round trip ticket. The bus is leaving 9:30. They're having a party at Lucy's during the day, tailgate at Lucy's. We will be there 1 to 3 o'clock. I think they've got live entertainment and band crank it up at like 3:30 in the afternoon, getting you set for a 6 o'clock kickoff between LSU, Florida State. 6 or 6:30?
6:30, right?
6:30, which I love, bro.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be
Hop
back
on
in
the
Baton
bus.
Rouge 11 a.m. I mean,
Yeah.
11 p.m.
11 a.m. maybe.
Maybe. Back to New Orleans 11 a.m. on a holiday.
Yeah, left everything.
Because we will be live 7 to 9 a.m. on Monday. But
Stu,
if
you'll
you
be
if you want to jump on the bus and you want to get tickets to the party, $80 one-way round trip on the bus. Email Rhett Bourgeois, who happens to be our contractor over here, all of our personal and over here at FM. You can hit him at Rhett. Put this up on the screen.
I got you.
If you don't mind. RHETT, Rhett at rmb-builders.com.
Does the $80 get you into the tailgate?
I
feel like that's got to be a separate ticket, right? I think so.
We're just getting you here.
I'm just getting you to and from Baton Rouge.
I would imagine that you could probably wait and get a ticket back because people are going to want to stay. So if me, Stewie, if we need a ride back, maybe we hop on this bandwagon to get back to BR on the bus.
For $40.
Well, I mean, the bus,
Yeah.
I've been
might
told,
drive
is like
to
it's like a
the bus.
30-minute post-game. It's leaving. Like it's rolling back to
That's
Baton
what I'm saying.
Rouge.
There's
Like, you
gonna
only
be-
got a window here.
There might
and you
be
better
some people
make your
who make it
mind up
back,
quick.
Yeah.
If you're
I bet
going
the cats
back, are
be
you
out.
staying? Are you staying or you going?
Going.
What's the deal?
You found a place?
What's going on? Because I mean, I got a ticket that's up for sale here.
Huh?
$80. Email our boy Rhett at rmbbuilders.com. Rhett at rmb-builders.com. And you can come down there, party with us on Sunday, man. Getting ready for kickoff, 6:30 in the Dome, LSU and Florida State. Looking forward to it. Yesterday, we had a great opportunity to talk to Florida State head coach Mike Norvell about his preparation and getting ready for what has been called a neutral site game between LSU and Florida State. We asked him that off the top. He laughed at it a little bit, but it was a good conversation, about 13 minutes with the head coach in Tallahassee as he's getting ready for LSU. If you hadn't seen it, check it out on our YouTube channel. All of our stuff is always podcasted, on demand, brought to you by Rhett Bourgeois and RMB Builders. So check that out over at YouTube. Yesterday, Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, and the crew speaking to the SEC teleconference, and Saban was asked about the relationship. This has always been interesting. I've always been curious about this with Saban and Kelly, just the relationship that they share, because to me, they're as similar to one another as I think you can find in college football, maybe in the sport of football. I put, really just a couple of coaches in a certain class where they approach it like a business. They approach the game of football like a CEO, right? And I know that, that term CEO of college football coaches has not always been, greatly received or greatly taken in. But I think that when you look at the way that Kelly, even like the little things, and I know this is a little thing, but like the way that Kelly dresses for his Monday press conference.
That's true.
Sharp.
You know what I mean? Like, I've only seen that done one other time here. I guess Miles did wear a suit, like kind of a coat and tie when he was here, but Saban kind of started that where you didn't wear the coach's polo
Is that what O wore?
in
Polo?
there. Yeah,
Oh.
O was kind of a pullover
was trying
type
to
guy.
think, yeah,
you know
he
what I
did wear
mean?
a lot of
You would,
pullovers.
and look, I think LSU's brand I guarantee you their relationship with Nike appreciates the coach taking that opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, how much you think Coca-Cola is paying for that Coke to sit on the podium right there while Kelly speaks? That's a hell of a billboard for Nike to show off. I mean, really, they kind of used O to show off kind of like the new gear.
Yeah.
So that they would walk him out there because they knew how many people would see it. But when I saw Kelly walk into the room on Monday, where there's nothing really like representative from a color standpoint of LSU. He's got the LSU pin on his collar, but other than that, it's very much like a CEO. It's very much like a business that he's running, in which he's coming to describe how they're preparing for their first test. And yesterday Saban was asked on the SEC teleconference, and I think people were listening and wondering how Saban felt about Kelly now being at LSU. And Saban, Kelly said back in June when he got the job that he had great respect for Saban and they had good conversations and that they shared a good relationship. Yesterday, Saban was asked about it. And he said, look, I told him that I thought he would do an outstanding job there, and it's certainly going to be challenging for us playing against him. They've always got good personnel, and now they've got a really good coach. Saban kind of stepped in it right there because he walks right back and says, not that they've had not that they've not had great coaches in the past, but just a real challenging situation for us. But I'm sure he'll do a great job there. And I think that is very well represented of the respect that he has for Brian Kelly. And look, I think that that's going to be measured in this league by what Saban kind of, not thinks about you, but the respect that he has for you. And it was clearly evident, not only in that statement, which, I think he kind of slipped up there and tried to cover it up, but never was it more evident when Saban he was like banging the podium when they fired Miles. Like you can't treat that guy like that.
He liked him.
Well, no, he didn't like him.
He loved him.
He knew he knew he could beat
He
his
got
ass every year.
back-to-back bye weeks.
He could copy and paste
Yeah.
the game plan every single year and beat the guy. And then, I'm sure he kind of was like behind closed doors, kind of like pointing and laughing at Ogeron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like,
Had
you know what I
to
mean?
be.
He was probably
Look at
like,
this
boys,
guy.
we're all right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, other than Burrow coming to save this guy, we should be in a good spot.
Oh, it's number one on the roast sheet.
But
He's like,
now
you've
he
lost
looks
to him?
now he looks at LSU, and he's probably for the first time since he left, looks at LSU and thinks, okay,
Yeah.
they got the guy.
We got a game plan.
They
It'll be the
they
first
they
time
got
since
it.
he
They got
left.
it right. They got the guy that's the first since I've been there that is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it right. And I think it's always been a scary proposition for college football and the SEC if LSU was to land the right guy. And they had him in Saban for 5 years, and Saban kind of gave you a just kind of a real quick peek of what it could be like if you recruited it right, if you created relationships with the boosters, if you made sure all the academics was in line, you had the right people in the right departments to support what you were trying to do. And now Kelly comes in with a proven track record of doing that at, big time schools. And he's won everywhere he's been. He's obviously going to be able to recruit. Zalance Hurd this afternoon is going to make his announcement live from Neville High School. We're going to talk to Shea Dixon here in a couple of minutes via the phone. Shea's busy. I think everybody saw overnight that Shea announced that he has landed with On3. And On3 picks up, in my opinion, as good of a journalist of someone in that trade who covers recruiting. And really, that is all about relationships. And all those guys have really good relationships, man. All of them, from Sam Spiegelman to Julie Boudouin to Jimmy Detail to Billy Embody to Shea Dixon. All of them have really good relationships and are really putting out good information. Even our guy Mike Scarborough is doing good work and has been doing it for a long time. Sonny Ship, those guys have been around and been able to carry over those relationships and be able to network and build those relationships staff to staff, and that's difficult to do. I mean, from the relationship building process we're trying to build professionally is, kind of allowing these guys to feel a safe space and understand they can use this as an outlet to come sit down and, kind of be real. But, we're not looking to break any news. Shea is looking to break news because if he doesn't, then Jimmy Detail is. Right? So, I mean, it's a kind of a cutthroat, competitive world that you want to be first. And Shea's usually, if he's not first, he's right there with it. You know what I mean? And for On3 to add him to the lineup that they already have covering recruiting here locally with Billy Embody, Sam Spiegelman, it's really just kind of it's a super flex
Non-stars.
of, just the building a team. Building a farm, and Shea will be involved with us a lot over here. We'll talk to him a ton.
He'll still be able
over
to
here.
do his segment. With
Oh
us.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean that's very beneficial to him. And like we said, offensive tackle Zalance Hurd is going to make his announcement this afternoon. Hurd's top schools: LSU, Nebraska, Florida, Houston, and Florida State. Hurd received his LSU offer back in March. He is, of course, former teammate of offensive tackle Will Campbell, who'll make his first start for LSU on Sunday night versus Florida State. So
Where's he doing it?
I think he's doing it at Neville.
Why are we not doing it?
Well, I mean, a 3.5-hour trip to Monroe
Yeah,
on
that's
this
a lot.
Thursday of game week would have been tough to
it'll
get
be.
in. Look,
Yeah.
we would love to be there, and I think that I think it's going to be
Don't
good
give
news
him
for
any
LSU.
ideas, Katie.
I just think people expect it now. Right? They expect us to be there.
I think that's going to be.
Load up the bus.
I think it's going to be good news for LSU.
You do?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good news for LSU. And once this news hits, what Brian Kelly and Frank Wilson and the LSU staff have been able to do as far as really building a fence around Louisiana over the last couple of months and securing up this recruiting class and going into opening weekend, with hopefully some great news, which I feel like Shea is in the business of doing crystal balls. If we were doing a crystal ball, I would put all of my chips into LSU's direction for Zalance Hurd. We'll ask Shea about that in a couple of minutes when he stops by, but I think that the LSU side feels really good where they're sitting. So it should be great news going into the opening weekend for LSU. And the more that you get close to this LSU Florida State game, the more that you get the feel of what it's going to go like. And look, not to say we've all played this game before where you try to sit down and figure out what the game's going to look like and go like. But when you just look at this thing on the matchup of the line of scrimmage, which I think is where all football is won and lost. I saw Lil Jay had his first scrimmage of the night last night. They had a little jamboree, kind of like a little pre-jamboree versus St. Jude over at Our Lady of Mercy. And I mean, it was
Swagged out.
back and forth. But I mean, ultimately, the team that was able to, kind of get away and pull away with it was the team that was able to control the line of scrimmage. So from Little League to what we'll see Saturday with college football opening up to Sunday night in the Dome with LSU and Florida State, into Monday with some of those matchups to opening weekend of the NFL, the team with the better group on the offensive and defensive line is going to win. And I still think that LSU's their advantage on the defensive line compared to what Florida State played 3 centers on Saturday
Why?
Oh, wow.
because they don't have one.
They don't have a center. Trying to find
So
one,
they're trying to
coach.
still find one. It's like kind of LSU where they are in the
my
kicking
goodness.
situation.
Imagine
Did they nail one down?
I think publicly, if you listen to Norvell speak, he's saying that they know who they're going to start. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that they're still not going to have to go somewhere else. And I got news for you. Whoever makes their first start or whoever makes this start on Sunday night is lining up over potentially maybe the best player at
Yeah.
that position in Jaquelin Roy or Mason Smith.
Yeah.
I mean,
goodness.
it's not out of the question of both of those guys being All-Americans. At least one of them. I mean, Jaquelin right now is projected to be a top 10 pick. Mason Smith might be the number 1 pick when he comes out. So
That's scary.
whoever's
for
making
LSU.
that start for Florida State at center on Sunday night.
Just imagine coming
That
in
is,
the game.
I
and you
mean,
look
Coach,
up
can
and
you
it's just
imagine what the
0.
film room is like right now?
Oh,
Just
No.
looking back on Mason Smith and Jaquelin Roy last year.
Oh,
I mean,
my
these guys are
goodness.
probably like, oh my
Poor
God, they're a
fellas.
year older.
oh my God.
They're a year stronger.
We got 3 that can rotate in and out.
Yeah, right. Right.
So do we.
You ain't even talked about Mekhi Wingo. I'm telling you,
Or Jacoby Guillory.
I keep hearing things about Mekhi Wingo.
We haven't talked about him enough.
We have not talked about him enough.
Because
I'm telling
even when
you.
he came on here, like it wasn't just him. He obviously didn't talk about himself, but everybody that we've had like on the offensive or defensive line that has come in here and like done some stuff for the show, he was the first guy that they mentioned out their mouth. Like obviously you have your Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy's, B.J. Ojulari's, like, but Mekhi Wingo, the transfer that they brought in, is like the guy doesn't quit.
Yeah.
Like they do the catapult ratings or whatever, and they said he in and out every day has the like most consistent of like. It measures like your exhaust rate or whatever, like your energy, how much you put out, how hard you try. He's consistently like the guy number 1 on the list.
He won the Strongest Tiger Award. He's won
Iron
all
Tiger.
of the
Iron
award,
Tiger,
the
wow.
Iron Tiger. He's won all of the awards. He's consistently been a leader on the SWAT team. If you remember what Jamar Cain said about him when he came in here, he kind of laughed at his name just because it's like, dude, we've thrown everything at this guy.
And he keeps
And he
eating
keeps
it up.
gobbling it up.
Where did
He's
he
like
transfer from?
Missouri.
That's right.
He was
all
SEC
SEC guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a freshman all SEC player. And when he walks, he's another one that kind of walks in the room and you're like, this is him?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I think, the scouting report's going to be tough on him in the sense of, the pro scouts are going to be wondering, like, man, he's got everything I want, but
Can he win in
he's
this
too
league?
short. You know what I mean? Like, his size doesn't matter. Like, probably the stuff that they were, like, Marcus Dumerville, who's on LSU's offensive line, a lot of the stuff they probably said about his uncle, Elvis Dumerville,
yeah.
who was, very, short. I mean, the recruiting story goes that when Ogeron went down to recruit Marcus Dumerville, he walked in and saw Elvis, and Ogeron got in a 4-point stance and said, see if he could get around him.
That's what you love
That's
from
what
your
you love him, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's the defensive line
You would still
coach
love him
in
if he was a D-line
the
coach, yeah.
recruiting coordinator, So, like, Elvis, like, loved him, and, like, Ogeron was
get him
like,
up.
let him up, Elvis. Let's see if he can get around old boy right
Pop
here.
the shirt off.
Let's see if you get around 2
Yeah,
boys.
hold his tie for me, Derek.
Take my binder.
But, like Mekhi Wingo has that same sort of feel. I mean, Elvis Dumerville led the league in sacks, I think, 2 seasons.
Oh, he's a stud.
Oh, yeah. He was a stud. He's all pro. But, I mean, that was kind of like the
comp.
the read on him, it was like, this is Elvis Dumerville? You know what I mean? He's like 5'10",
If that.
maybe.
And he'll eat that edge that
But
he comes around.
I'm telling you, Wingo is going to be a guy that, amongst the trees of B.J. Ojulari, Ali Gay, Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy, you're going to look up, and Wingo's going to be the guy that's probably going to be on the field on the last drive of the game, in the big drives. I mean, he's just everybody you talk to. He's a lot like Colby Richardson's name was popping right at the beginning of camp. Mekhi Wingo's been the most consistent name that I have heard all throughout the spring, summer, off-season, fall camp, and now leading into kickoff on Sunday. If you ask 10 staffers in that building to give you one name, I guarantee you that 7 of them are going to say Mekhi Wingo. Mm-hmm. It's just, it sounds like, and the read on it is just, he does everything you want him to do, man. I mean, there's a lot like Jamar Cain said. I mean, it's like, dude, we can't throw anything at this guy that he just doesn't perfect, whether it's nutrition, class, weights, on the field, in the film room, example, being a leader. This guy, he's only a sophomore, right?
And-
He's got
and is that a
ton
new
of
place?
Responsibility.
Comes
Stepping
into a new
outside.
program.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to like garner that leadership role whenever you come in like kind of fresh faces everywhere to like get in where you fit in. But I don't know if y'all watched Hard Knocks on Tuesday. It's a lot like when they were talking about the running back. They're like, who here thinks we're worse if we lose him? And
Yeah.
everybody put their hand up like,
Yeah.
if you cut him, then everything you said about culture is out the window.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you get with Mekhi Wingo and who they're bringing
Yeah, who
in.
was the guy in the room that spoke up and said, he's everything we are?
Yeah.
It was like an old name in football that you were like, oh, that's where he is now. Oh, it was the guy that drafted Baker Mayfield, Philip Dorsey at
Philip
Cleveland,
Dorsey, yep.
who was the old general manager there who drafted Baker Mayfield, is now like the senior vice president of personnel, whatever it is, in Detroit now. But he spoke up and like, you
What a
know,
gig.
like Man Campbell was like, you know, he was like,
Kind of right.
yeah, you're right. I mean, like he's everything that we
Took the name
we
off
want
the
him to
board.
be.
Yeah, is that right? He's safe.
Boom. Yeah, playing with this guy.
Yeah, right. Got him.
But I mean, that shows you how that room, dude, just. I guess we'll go with this lineup. Let's look at this lineup. You know, I mean, that 47th, 48th, 49th, 50th, 51st, 52nd, 53rd spot on the roster
Grinding.
is gut-wrenching. Gut-wrenching. I mean, like even when Campbell's in the room and he's like, there's two buckets in here. There's the ones that don't quite have the talent but do everything right. And then the other bucket is the talented group that you got to urge to give you the effort every day. And he's like, just go be who you are. You know, like when he gives and then when he comes back after the game and tells him, like, you guys know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, my boy Pimp, got a chance, bro. You got to make that catch at the goal line.
You ain't making it, coach.
You got to make that catch. You know, I mean, just you got your opportunities. And
We know who you are now.
you know who you are. And that's the thing about the NFL that I think is beautiful.
When
You know what I mean? Like, you can't run from the truth.
No, and
At some point, it's going to find you.
but I like that Dan Campbell didn't like expect anybody to step outside their lane because it makes it obviously easier for him to figure out. Like if you're one of the guys that shows up every day early, does all this stuff right, whatever. It's like don't try to be somebody you're not. Don't go out there and try to make a spectacular play because that's not what we're looking for. We're at some point there's room for 53 for people that do it the right way every time, but. On the other hand, if you're somebody that flashes, make sure you go fucking flash out there. Like, today's your day to go make a play and make sure we can't cut you. If you're going to be the guy that's not in all the time, prove to me that you have to be on the team but when the lights are on.
46.
That's it.
I think that's who's gonna make it for sure.
I love the running back, too.
Yeah, I love him.
With the dad that was there.
Brothers in prison.
Yeah.
Just
Total shocker when they were
Grinding.
talking on the phone. Had no
Yeah.
idea he was going to be in jail.
Yeah.
No, me either.
Oh, okay. It's got dark.
All right, so make sure you pick up your Caesar Sportsbook app today. Download it. We got a listener inside of the chat asking about the giveaway. Grant Ganos is asking, are the winner of the LSU tickets going to be announced today, and how is that working? We'll have that spelled out for you on social media, so make sure you're following us on social media to keep up with the latest and that announcement because, it should be coming today. The opportunity to jump in for the tickets closed yesterday, so there will be an announcement coming up here was today at some point today. So just make sure and stay up on our social media, and we will have that for you as soon as we get that information.
Did the Hold the Rope chat get hacked? Why does it say the time Skip tried weed?
Well, Skip told a story. This is Ronnie Rance. Ronnie Rance told a story on Hold the Rope about when Skip tried weed for the first time. If you have not seen it, go check out
I missed that story. I
our
gotta watch
friends
that.
over at Hold the Rope. And like we said,
It's all
easy
about the Mary
to,
Jane.
easy to
You got to roll it and lick it
Is that what he
before you
said?
smoke it.
Yeah, it's
No.
great. I mean, but the story is great.
I gotta listen to
you know
that.
how I got it. Count money.
If you go to our YouTube, if you just go to the homepage there, you can find that you can subscribe to all of our
That's what I charge.
family of shows. Right?
$20 a head.
Mic'd up Rohan, which Rohan's show will be on tonight, where my dog's at, and then Skip Burtman and the crew for Hold the Rope here every Tuesday. Jeff and Kenner, can we access Lucy's without the $80 deal on Sunday? Jeff, send an email to Rhett Bourgeois, that is RHETT, at rmb-builders.com. There you go, right there on the screen. Rhett at rmb-builders.com. As we said, we'll be at Lucy's 1 to 3 for a little pregame party before the Tigers and Knowles on Sunday. And Rhett and the crew are throwing down, man. They got people coming from all corners of the state.
He's gonna get so
for their
many emails.
tailgate. They got their crew consists of Shreveport, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, down south New Orleans, Beauchene, down in that area.
God.
I mean, bro,
That's the boonies.
I mean, it's a throwdown.
I've heard
It's
people
a
talk about
throwdown.
his tailgates. That they're wild. His contractors that are at my house will come and be like, "Have you ever been to one of Rhett's tailgates?" I'm like, "No, but I've got to try it."
Let's get weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Katie, I'm sure there'll be a lot of
Not only that, you can tell, just tell by when you talk to people, like what they care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Rhett by nature is kind of like a low key dude.
He is.
You know what I mean? Like he's
He
a
is.
very like
Very
yeah
laid
for
back.
sure,
Chill and have some
absolutely,
fun.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of love in my contractor. I don't like I like my contractor like my pilot. You know what I mean? I don't want you to
Yes.
freak out, bro.
Yeah,
Kind of
please.
looking at you the whole time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you freak out, I'm freaking out. If you're cool, I'm cool. And Rhett's cool. But when he talks about tailgating,
Yeah.
He gets a little
kind
giddy.
of gets
I
all
know.
kind of giddy.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I
I'm
love this
like,
thing.
bro, I can push these tickets for you on the air if you want. He's like, could you really?
Please,
I'm like,
right now.
yeah, bro, that's really easy to do, man.
Can you go live now?
Like he spends, which just screams marriage. He spends like 7 months of the year, like.
Oh, this is his hobby. This
preparing
is like
this
more than a
game.
hobby.
Right. Like they
Right.
sell sponsorships at their tailgate.
Oh my goodness.
Do
This
they
is
really?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is serious.
So he's
Like they
the,
had a beer provider like the last couple of years, and like now they're like kind of like
Moving and
going back
shaking.
and forth. Like they're
Oh my
like,
God. Negotiating
bidding
their
war.
sponsorship?
yes.
That's crazy.
we want more beer this year than ever.
And I don't mean to out you to LSU. It's not like they're making money on campus.
Right.
Sorry,
It's
sorry.
the handy
sorry,
jobs,
sorry,
it's not the
sorry,
beer.
sorry, That's right.
Forgot about that handy job.
How could you forget?
I don't know because he was like, y'all please slow it down a little bit.
that's what I was telling him.
Ooh, wow.
Or-
Stephen Miller, is beer and liquor included? Stephen, email Rhett.
Yeah,
Rhett
yeah.
at rmb-builders.com.
He ain't working today.
He hadn't worked in 3 weeks.
Better be.
Yeah, right. Sorry. He is
Hello.
working.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is working.
He has his men working.
His
Yeah.
men are at my house right now. I can see him on the camera.
His
He's
hands
working
are-
on the tailgate. He's hobbying in construction.
Yeah, his hands are full.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
But we'll be there Sunday, man. It's going to be awesome. At Louis. Come check it out with us.
Lucy's.
Email, where did I say?
Luis.
Louis.
Oh,
Lucy's.
Louis, we talk about
Um,
LSU.
Right.
That's after the game.
Yeah.
They were pushing Brian Kelly to announce the quarterback yesterday. He's holding true, man. I talked to BJ Ojulari yesterday. He swears he doesn't know.
They have to know.
He swears he doesn't know.
Have to know.
I
Sworn to
believe it.
secrecy.
I was like,
Really?
BJ, come on, bro. I'm not going to tell anybody. I swear.
I don't have a show
Which
7
I mean,
9 every day.
even if he told me, I wouldn't.
Right.
Like I'll hold the relationship, dude. And he was like, dude, I really don't know.
Do you think the offense knows?
I think that there's there has to be a certain, like Garrett Dellinger knows.
Has to
I would
know.
hope so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
there's got to be at least 10 people that know. 11.
That's random.
Well, no, some of the
but I
entire
was like,
offense.
dude, you
Did he
got to
say
know who it
offense?
is
I
by
would
the way
hope
that they're
so.
practicing. He was like, that's the deal, man. He's playing both of them.
They're playing both. I've said it. Just started saying it 3 weeks
Lord.
ago.
He's
Yeah,
kind
was the
of,
man?
but he's kind of. It's not as if he's like truly trying to trick you. Like even in the press conference, he was like, "Look, they're both going to get opportunities."
Yeah, it's like
You know, I mean, he's like, at some
1A,
point,
1B.
you're going to see both of them. So really, no matter who you start, I asked Mike Norvell yesterday. I mean, right off the top, I said Brian Kelly called it a tactical advantage not to name his starting quarterback earlier this week when given the opportunity. Is that a tactical advantage? And Norvell said, look, they trust the process of the film that they've watched and that they believe that they're familiar with both guys and Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. But it kind of goes into what, we've been saying earlier this week. By building the tactical advantage, you really put the workload on Florida State staff. And I know they got an extra day to prepare. They played on Saturday and game will kick off on Sunday. But, I mean, still, you got to watch Jaden Daniels, Arizona State film. You got to watch Garrett Nussmeier, LSU film. You got to watch Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock film. Hell, they're probably still watching Joe Sloan film because of the influence that Sloan had on the decision. So, I mean, that's a lot of work, right? Not to say that, college football coaches are scared of work, but if there's an easier way to get to the game plan, then show them that path. This trek they're taking is the scenic route, because there's just an overload of information that you have to take in on LSU before you've seen them play. Under Brian Kelly, under a quarterback that hadn't been named yet, under a new offense in Mike Denbrock, under new tutelage of Joe Sloan at quarterback. I mean, there's all types of variables going into how LSU is going to game plan Florida State from an offensive standpoint. And Norvell mentioned that his familiarity with both Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock have paid advantage for Florida State in this scenario, but you still have to take on the workload. You still got to go through, the hours and hours and hours of film of just trying to pick up tendencies and what they're going to do. So, I think that I believe B.J. Ojulari that he doesn't really know who it's going to be. He's probably got a feeling on who it's going to be. But, if you were like, who's the starter? I don't know.
It gives me anxiety, though. Doesn't that give y'all anxiety?
No, because that's
it
what
makes
he's
me
got a
love
plan.
Brian Kelly. It makes me go back to what we led off with Brian Kelly. It's his business, man.
Yeah.
It's
You don't have to show people your
You
cards.
don't have to always,
No, but that's a big part.
And LSU is coming from a place, I'm telling you, where their coach was so overly honest.
Right.
I mean, I cannot tell you the amount of people that have either come through LSU, people that we know in the coaching industry, people that are on other staffs that are like, bro, we just watched the press conference. He's like, I'm telling you, like, a part of LSU's preparation in game week was listen to all the media that Orgeron did. Because at some point he's going to tell you who's not playing, who's playing, how they're going to play them, what he thought of their play, how they're hurt. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Talk to his daddy.
Who's daddy you talk to?
We're probably still going to
saying
play him, but
be
he's got
like
a
Mama
high
he
ankle.
talked to.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
Trying
fellas.
to talk to his mama.
The head coach just said that the running back's got an ankle injury. Every
Yeah.
time we wrap him up on his left ankle. That's just a
I don't
small.
think you should be that transparent, but just QB1.
No doubt.
You know?
But QB1 inside the walls knows who QB1 is.
Yeah.
And that's really all Brian Kelly gives a damn about.
It's like telling your girlfriend who your side chick is. To me.
At a press conference.
Yeah. It's in the open. Hey, yeah, this is my side chick.
That's very Coach O of you.
Sarah Edwards on line one for you.
Yeah, hold on, I got to take this. Oh, now it's ringing twice.
We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Good.
Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression and anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go
Same thing with, like, lingerie.
Chevrolet.
Oh, we on?
Overrated.
Aw.
See, I agree.
Lingerie?
Yeah.
What is?
Overrated.
Lingerie? Yeah.
Shit outta here.
Overrated.
Half and half, right?
Yeah,
Shit outta here.
no. It's
But don't you like
overrated.
to look
Very
at someone in
OR.
lingerie for a minute?
No, take them off.
A minute.
Oh, but for a minute.
All right, let's go to the phone lines.
Shay?
Huge
We get
news
straight to
last
it.
night as we were tricked, we were hoodwinked. We thought that this announcement was going to take place right here in the Jordy Culotta Show. It was surprising to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and see that the announcement had been made by a late-night Shea Dixon, which I knew right then he was not going to make his segment here across town at FM Digital Media Studios, but it is our pleasure to congratulate the newest member of the On3 squad. Jesus, man, y'all are like Bama football over there. Picking up another 5-star, Shea Dixon. Good morning, buddy. How we feeling?
Good morning. Yes, Jordy, you're getting good at this prediction thing. Very accurate prediction on me staying up way past my bedtime and just realizing when I went to bed, I was like, I'm not going to make that in person at 7:15. That's just not going to happen.
Great first day for On3, Shay.
Yes, that's right. So,
Yes, I'm sure my bosses are thrilled about my dedication. Yes, you're already not doing anything.
what
What was
was
about Tekkit?
what was the scene? Was it you and Speegs and Embody just crushing cannonballs late night? What was the deal? Why they overslept?
Me and my boy Matty B, who had worked with me previously, who I love, a young grinder. He joined at midnight last night.
Wow.
And, there
Package
was
deal.
yes, because of some contractual stuff, I'll say. There were a bunch of people in the same boat I was in, so like the Rivals Tennessee site moved over everyone last night, and Nebraska, and a number of people, the Georgia site. So There were a lot of us that were up late having to kind of burn the midnight oil, but it was fun. It kind of had a little mini signing day feel to it. I was obviously going to save the worst kept secret for the show, but then whenever the people who pay me decided for me, they said, "No, you'll be putting it out at 12:01." I said, "I don't think this show airs
that. Yeah, that's not going to fly with the
I don't
Jordy
think-
Culotta show. We're not going to be able to do
matches
that.
up with my Jordy Culotta show airtime, but whatever."
Shay, I was awake. You got to hit me up. We could have
We
went
done
live.
Special show. Well, I thought that the most predictable decision of today was the Lance Hurd coming up at 4:00. You got a big first day, huh?
Yeah, well, like I said, there was all the recruiting prediction kind of count was correct for me. I'll say the same for Zalance, and I did my first order of business once I got clearance to enter the on-3 gates was I jumped onto Zalance Hurd's profile through a little 95% confidence on LSU
At 1:03 a.m.
bold, but I like it. And look, this is a big one out of Neville, guys. The number, and now I can say, with the on-3 rankings, my rankings, our rankings, I had no part in them. I just started, but they have him at the number 3 offensive tackle in the country.
Oh wow!
So that was Lael Collins territory when he was coming out of Louisiana, and you guys know how much I love Tyree Adams out of St. Aug. The fact that they can put together an offensive line class that's got 2 offensive tackles that are ranked in the top 10 nationally, coming off a really nice O-line haul a year ago, and then you're kind of Paul Mabenga's in from Georgia. They'll add another guy or two. This will be one of the better kind of 2-year runs of O-line commitments they've had, and that's exactly what you want. If you thought you were getting the Brian Kelly who is churning out elite Notre Dame offensive lines, obviously this is a full staff effort here, but they're going in that direction. This is a nice, if they can pull this off, which I expect they would, this will be a massive day for LSU fans.
What LSU here locally has really kind of spun the narrative over the last couple of months. If things go well for them this afternoon in Monroe, which it looks like it will, was the Lance Hurd. What do you make of this class going into the season that starts on Sunday?
I mean, I can remember when they had when we all had the discussions over the summer of, hey, look, when is this thing going to take off? When they were at 5 commits and ranked number 50 in the country, and in the span from July 1st to now they're at 21 commits, could be at 22 today, and certainly locked into at the moment, as the season begins, a top 5 class, which is, kind of wild to think about coming off all the, staff changes they had, but also guys back-to-back 500 seasons. Like, not a lot of programs out there can have that sort of on-field results, have that sort of changes happen off the field, and then still come into the next season ranked inside the top 5, and that's what LSU is going to do to start things off. So huge, and I love that they understood D-line wise, let's say. Not a great year for D linemen in Louisiana. Well, Jamar Kane and this staff went to Paris, France, basically. I mean, they were in Minnesota, Baltimore, Georgia, all over the country, Indiana, grabbing commitments, and all of these guys rank in the top 100. In fact, 3 of the 4 that I just named are top 50 overall prospects, regardless of position. So I love that they got, the understanding that, hey, this is a national brand. We can go out there and the LSU polo can get us into any high school with any kid that we want to recruit, which is why we've seen them lock up visits coming out from guys like Nicholas Harbor, the 5-star. But I do love, and I know that we talked about this needing to happen, and it has, that they turned around and focused on Louisiana. And you guys were there for most of these commitments, obviously, helping kind of produce them and put on the show for the guys' big day. But it's just been an unbelievable run from the Tyree Adams and Trey Hollies who kind of got things going to this wave of Baton Rouge commitments, Caleb Jackson at running back, Kylan Jackson at safety, a quarterback in Ricky Collins, a little guy that's ranked as a 5-star over at poor old Catholic High, that Shelton Sampson, who certainly is probably one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 receivers in the entire country. You had, if Arch Manning's leaving the state, if, Derek Williams, for now, they're still recruiting him, out of Westgate, who's some consider to be the 2nd best player in the state, if he's leaving the state, if you've got Tackett and Jaden and these guys leaving the state, it had to end somewhere, and you had to get guys like Shelton, Tyree Adams, Zalance Hurd, Ricky Collins, Kylan, Caleb Jackson, and the list goes on, Trey Holly, all these guys. You had to close with them. It couldn't be sort of the floodgates have opened and all these guys are going elsewhere and you were recruiting nationally. No, they buckled in. So kudos to the staff. And then obviously if you put Hurd into that mix, that's as big as it gets. So I love the direction they're going. And look, we'll talk about this plenty moving forward. They were burning the midnight oil more than I was last night. They were up in Tiger Stadium calling recruits for the 2024 class, FaceTiming them at midnight. That's September 1st is when you can officially talk to juniors on the phone before it's either in person or text or, whatever it is. But now it's, hey, I can FaceTime you, I can talk to you. And instead of doing it at 8 a.m. or instead of kind of doing it at midnight from the house, they were up in Tiger Stadium with the lights on calling everyone. So I thought it was a cool, unique approach.
They can use this weekend to recruit, right? Like they can bring recruits to the game. They just can't have contact. Isn't this a kind of a pretty weird weekend for recruiting?
Yeah, you said it's exactly right. So Florida State as well. Florida State's got guys. So the two teams can get a lot of tickets, right? And then a recruit can sign up to be on the list and, get a ticket and go to the game. But since it's neutral site, neither team can have the recruits on the sideline with them or be hanging out with them and bring them in the locker room or things you might normally do for a home game. So that stuff isn't happening, but they'll have a ton of these Louisiana kids. Jalen Brown, your big 5-star receiver out of Miami, who y'all have had on the show before. He's making the trek in to see LSU play Florida State. So there should be a good contingent of recruits coming to the Superdome this weekend.
You mentioned Nicholas Harbor, and it seems like that's kind of top on the wish list as far as out-of-state guys go for LSU. What are you hearing on a timeline of him, and how's LSU kind of moving there?
No set timeline here. He's starting to line up official visits, and as I mentioned, LSU's in that mix. So they'll host him. I think it was the Tennessee game. I'm not in front of the computer right now. Of course, on the first day of my new job, I'm not in front of my computer. But I believe it's Tennessee game. But
Tackett Curtis is going to go to USC. I don't know if if you knew that.
Actually just flipped to LSU. And you got to call it midnight.
For the people who don't get the joke, I was so tuned out this summer of not having a job that I didn't even know when top 10 players in Louisiana were committing. A good 2 weeks late on the Tackett Curtis news, which is tough to do.
But you're on the ball today.
Yeah, I'm all over it today, trust me. But one thing I will point out, because we haven't talked about this a ton, Harbor is now very much in on, he's ranked as the number 1 athlete. He's going hard in on this, I want to play tight end in college. Ooh. So now everybody has sort of shifted okay, now we're recruiting you at tight end type mentality, and we'll see. He hasn't played a ton of tight end so far in high school, so senior year he'll be putting out the film, but we know what he can do on the track. We've seen what he can do defensively on the field. You know what he looks like. So if they've got a quarterback that can throw it more than 4 yards, I'm assuming he can probably put up some numbers, and we'll have a big season. But that'll be interesting to watch because obviously he's viewed as, hey, this could be an edge rusher type guy, but he has tight end in his repertoire. Now he's very much adamant of, this is where I want to be recruited, and schools are following suit. And if you want to circle teams out there that need a tight end, I'll give you one front and center. It's LSU. They have 2 scholarship tight ends on the entire roster. One of them got here a few months ago in Mason Taylor, who's the guy they're talking about the most. So it'll be interesting to watch moving forward because they're in that mix. He's got a great relationship with the staff, and suddenly he wants to be recruited at the position that's probably the biggest need position on LSU's entire roster.
You mentioned the 2024 class and that they were reaching out last night inside Tiger Stadium. Edge rusher Colin Simmons has been on the top of LSU's list there. Who others stand out in 24 when you look ahead to that class? Who are some of the must-gets for LSU?
It's so early, too, because they're about to play junior years. If you did a class prediction piece right now, it would be nowhere close, but half the kids you wouldn't even know to put on it because they haven't offered them yet. It's just kind of how the cycle normally goes. We catch wind of the guys who have already been playing as sophomores. They get offered, and they're sort of the talk of the town until we see all these juniors play and see how they looked. But Yeah, they were out there last night. I'll give you one big name to watch here. Coming out of Grayson, they have a couple of kids in Georgia, Jordy, that they've got committed. JoJo Stone for next year, Michael Doherty for this year. Grayson's obviously a big powerhouse program. But keep an eye on a kid named Zion Ferguson. He's a cornerback. He's ranked as a 4-star. He's a top 150 prospect. He's very high on LSU, and it wouldn't surprise me if sooner than later that he decided to shut things down, and my pick would absolutely right now be on LSU. So we could see these 2024 dominoes start to drop. In fact, we will. They have a few commitments, but we should point out that after Zalon's heard today, they have 22 high school commitments. They will have 22 high school commitments if they get heard in the boat for the 2023 class. So you've been on a run, but that's got to slow down, eventually, because you're just running out of space, but more so just guys that you're really pressing for. So the board is narrowed. With 2024, they're handing out new offers. They're all over guys. They're pressing them. They're about to get kids in for games this fall. So I think moving forward, I mentioned Zion Ferguson being a name to watch. Obviously, Colin Simmons is a guy a lot of people like to talk about as a 5-star. I'd start really paying attention to that group of guys because I think that's where this next wave of commits comes from.
Nussmeier or Daniels?
I think it's Daniels, right? I mean, it'd be surprising if I'll say it this way. If y'all knew nothing about LSU football, and y'all, hopefully everyone in that room knows
now you're
something
speaking
at
my
this point.
language.
Yes, that's right. Lloyd, I'm talking to you.
Thank you.
If y'all knew nothing about LSU football and I told you here's the 2 options. One guy is a redshirt freshman who's played a little as a backup, but never really played meaningful snaps at this point. The other guy is a guy the new coaching staff brought in as a transfer, has started 29 straight games, thrown for more than 6,000 yards, and is the guy that Brian Kelly says, well, when he's in there at practice, you can really tell the offense is calm. Well, if you're taking this team, which has been completely rebuilt top to bottom, into the Superdome, and you just want like the theme of the week, Brian Kelly said, is no distractions. Go to the Superdome. Don't be distracted by the lights. Don't be distracted by the fans. Just get the job done. Well, you'd say, I bet he's choosing the guy that's already been playing for 3 years. And that's not any sort of knock on Nussmeier's talent or Daniels. I think if it's that close, for me, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't be choosing the guy who's already got all the experience, at least to get you through game 1.
It seems like a no-brainer.
I thought there's option C both.
I think they both play.
Was that a Brennan? Is that
No. I was going to say both of them play. I thought that, it's not on the test, but I like to write in my own answers sometimes.
I could see it. I'll tell you what.
Half credit.
Both of them at a week from now when they're preparing for Southern, both of them have to be ready to play because that's the game early in the season. That and whatever follows that. New Mexico, maybe you've got to get both those guys a lot. Is it State right after Southern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that State game, State's good. And on my win-loss, I've got them losing to State. So this will be the best Leach team they've had. So whoever you're picking, you need to have them ready for that game because State will be able to put up some points.
What a grinder
agree.
on 3 was able to add in Shea Dixon.
They played Southern, New Mexico State. They go up to Syracuse.
Hell, I don't know the
5.
schedule. Shit. What do you want from me?
Auburn plays tight end now.
Who's Tackett Curry?
Who is this guy? All right, Shea.
They already released LSU's schedule for this year?
They play, this Sunday? I thought they played on Saturdays.
LSU football? Any high school action for you tonight? It starts tonight. Woodlawn gets it going on Thursday night here. The game got moved to East Iberville with Woodlawn and U-High on a Thursday night. You got a couple of 5-stars and 4-stars on the field. This is a big opening weekend for high school football.
Yeah, golly, I cannot believe that high school football as well is already here. And I'm going to head down to New Orleans. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'll head down to New Orleans early. In fact, probably tonight. So I may check out something in New Orleans tomorrow. But I want to point out something. I saw Robin Fambrough, the GOAT, was writing this earlier this week in The Advocate. I don't know if it's often this has happened, but 5A is just so incredibly talented in this state. But the LSWA preseason rankings came out, and Zachary's number 1, Catholic's number 2. But to have the top 2 teams in 5A consensus, I mean, they swept the votes in this city is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look around at kind of the area and even moving into the Acadianas and over to New Orleans, this is going to be a really, really good year for Louisiana high school football. There's some teams out there that can go. So I'm excited about it. I will be at a lot of games this year, but boy, it stood out to me, and I just didn't think about it until Robin wrote about it. But having Catholic and Zachary here in town as the 2 top 5A schools, when you think of all the 5A schools that are North Louisiana, New Orleans, Lafayette area, wherever you want to pick from, and those 2 are the 2 best, that's good news for the future of Baton Rouge football.
Shady, good news for On 3 with you on the squad, man. Y'all are loaded over there. Keep up the great work. We'll be touching base with you weekly, and we'll see you down in New Orleans, bro.
Wait, I have a question for Shea.
Absolutely.
Hold up.
Shea, do you wear aftershave or cologne? We were
Great
discussing
question.
it before.
Great
you called
question.
in.
Well, you already know the answer to that, because every time I'm down in the studio,
Every time I leave it on your pillows.
I know. We were talking about how great you
It's
smell.
cologne.
It's cologne.
See?
What is it?
Yeah,
Can you tell us what it is?
It's cologne. But when I was on waiting after y'all called, I could hear all y'all talking in the background, and I thought
Good to
y'all
know.
said after.
Shit.
I thought y'all said after Shea, and then you're like, it's played out. I was like, they're just hating on me right now, and I'm here.
Sitting right here.
Could have happened.
After shave.
Shay, the only
No, cologne all day long.
Cologne.
Shay, the only good thing about you not being in studio is we still have the OG pickup. So it's that one of you zonked out at some bar, looking like you just ate
Mardi Gras.
an eighth of mushrooms. Yeah.
Someone wrote
Lord,
Shay's picture looks like he just found out his one night stand is pregnant.
This is why my mom tells me to get that picture removed from the internet. It's
It's too
is an
good.
issue.
Love it.
It's too good.
I love
No,
it.
Mom. It'll live here forever.
It's saved on our desktop.
That's right. Have a great first day, bro. We'll see you soon.
Thank y'all all for all y'all did for me over the summer. I appreciate it. I'll
got
come in next week. We'll hang out.
All right, man. There he is.
Oh, yeah.
No longer in between jobs. Shea Dixon is now a part of the On 3 team as they move on. Katie, tell them about our pest control service over here.
Ooh, old SNL Pest Services. We got Shelton up in here yesterday again, I think. They're family owned and operated, Lisa and Shelton. They have the best customer service I've ever seen. They've got tons of experience in residential, commercial, and industrial. They can do everything. Fleas, termites, spiders, roaches,
Cologne,
small
aftershave.
rodents. Cologne, aftershave. Give them a call. SNL Pest Services. They're located in Greenwell Springs, but they serve the Baton Rouge area. 225-262-0496.
We were speaking about high school football, and it gets going tonight as we talked about Woodlawn and University High going to be over at East Iberville. What a matchup in week 1. Maybe the state's top quarterback going against the state's top defensive back, or at least in the discussion. Ricky Collins, the quarterback from Woodlawn, going against 5-star Notre Dame commit Jaden Osbury for University High.
Did they move him to defensive back?
Well, they got him playing like safety and like rover.
Oh, because he played like
Linebacker.
Linebacker.
Yeah, I mean they just move him all around. I mean they move him all over the field. U High has a defense that might be the best in the state. When you think about it, Moses' younger brother, Keelan Moses, is on the front line as a stand-up defensive end. They've got a linebacker that transferred in from Parkview, who I forget his name every time. He's number 25. He's probably the best player on that defense. I'm sorry that I forget his name. If you know it, if you want to jump inside the chat, he's number 25 for U High. He transferred from Parkview. He's their linebacker, a stud. I mean, same age as Moses. I think they're both sophomores.
They also got Landon Collins' younger brother.
Landon Collins' younger brother is over there. And then, of course, Jaden Osbury. Coach Andy Martin and the U-High crew have an incredible defense coming back after winning a state championship. And they will be tested here in week 1 versus Ricky and the Woodlawn Panthers. That'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff over at East Iberville. Stewie Jamil and I were over at the University of Zachary yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you that just like Shea said, where Zachary was number 1, keep your eyes out for our boy Wilson Alexander, if you don't mind, from the Advocate. Will stop by here and talk a little bit more LSU football with us. Just let me know when he jumps in. We got him?
I got you. No.
But Zachary and Catholic High for that matter. Catholic wins the state championship last year, and David Semino carrying over what Gabe Fertitta had started for Catholic High, and to keep that moving. But Zachary feels like the modern age West Monroe of our state right now, and just being over there in the way that they just conduct business, day-to-day operations. I mean, it feels so much like a Division I college football program, whether it's the facilities, the coaches. Yesterday, going out and watching them practice, it is a college practice. I mean, like, it is split. The fields are split. Each side wearing different colors as far as like helmets and being able to kind of like signify on who's going where. It's so organized and tight, and just the preparation of what Brewerton has built, or just the program of what Brewerton has built up in North Baton Rouge at Zachary it's the model. It feels like the model program right now in our state. And, when I was growing up and at least, in love with high school football in the state in the early 90s, the late 90s, as I played it, stayed in love with it, from the 2000s up through, 2020, and I'll probably catch a second wind when my son goes into it here in a couple of years. But it's such a great product, right? When I was going through all of that love affair with high school football in Louisiana, West Monroe was always kind of the model program of that's what everybody was trying to catch up to. It was the standard. And a couple of years ago, I had a chance to go up to West Monroe, and Will Blackwell's grandfather is the head coach up there, Jerry Arledge, and we were doing a show up there, T-Bob and I, and Coach Arledge showed me around West Monroe's facilities, and I mean, it was crazy to see how advanced their facilities were from a high school level. You go to Zachary, and Zachary is the new standard of facilities, the way that they run the operation, the way that they keep track and really bring you into the history of the program. If you walk the halls, you don't forget about anybody who had made an impact on that program. I had no idea. Since 1990, Zachary's only had 4 Division I players sign scholarship.
Really?
4. Chris Hilton was was the last to do it. And 3 of them came from Brewerton. Lindsey Scott was the quarterback. Keelan Brown was the quarterback who went to Memphis. Chris Hilton went to LSU. And then before that, they had Leonard Scott, that was a track superstar that went and played at Tennessee. When Tennessee won the 1999 BCS championship, Leonard Scott was on that team, and he was just a sprinter, right? He was more of a track guy than he was a football guy. But just being at that facility, seeing the way that they run practice, seeing what they one second. This is Wilson. We're gonna move him back a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Everybody getting a late start on a
What's everybody doing
Thursday.
today?
Yeah, the weekend's about to start.
Yeah, basically, it's
Yes.
basically Friday.
Yeah.
Louisiana
Friday.
shut it down. Can't believe we have the internet.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they could have shut this thing out until Tuesday.
Who? AT&T?
Oh, I mean, whoever you assign to that position, it just feels like the tides of change move slowly when something like that goes awry.
They
And
don't
like
care.
a lot of standing around.
Yeah, I really don't care
They
about
don't
this.
care who it's
These
affecting.
people don't have internet.
Must
Fuck
suck.
'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got internet.
They keep talking about us on the Culotta show. I got it on my hotspot over here. I'm listening, boys. Don't worry.
We're also going to talk to Zach Ewing from The Advocate and get some picks from him, from our friends over at Caesars.
I think he's come on mic'd up before. Good dude.
Yeah. They're doing good stuff over there at The Advocate when talking Caesars, talking gaming, and we'll be doing that weekly here and giving you our picks for who we like going into the weekend. As we mentioned, week 1 gets cranked up here this evening, with 3 games for you that you can bet over at Caesars Sportsbook. And now's the time to download the app. Get in touch with Caesars Sportsbook. Just download the app inside of your Apple or Android stores, and you can get sports lines on games like West Virginia and Pittsburgh tonight that kick off at 6 o'clock. Central Michigan and Oklahoma State kick off at 6 p.m. Ball State kicks off at Tennessee at 6 p.m. Volunteers are favored by 35.5 according to Caesars Sportsbook. That feels like a ton of points. I love Hayden Hooker, their quarterback over at Tennessee. Big playmaker, doesn't turn the ball over, is a guy that really fits Heupel's offense. But 35 in the opening night versus Ball State feels like a lot, 35.5 as far as the number goes. If I'm at the window, and will be here later, I'm taking Ball State with the points. Central Michigan and Oklahoma State tonight. That'll be at Oklahoma State. That'll will kick off at 6 p.m. from Stillwater. Central Michigan catching 21.5 here from the Cowboys. Again, this feels like a big number on opening night for both programs. I would.
La Tech and Missouri is tonight, right?
They are.
Isn't that tonight at 7?
They are.
6 or 7?
They are. Penn State plays Purdue. New Mexico State plays Minnesota. Western Michigan plays Michigan. That starts tomorrow. But, yes, you've got Penn State and Purdue tonight. You've got New Mexico State at Minnesota tonight. You've got Louisiana Tech at Missouri, which Louisiana Tech catching 20.5 on week 1. I mean, that kind of feels like that's a lot of points for Missouri as well, man. And then Pittsburgh, West Virginia, 7.5. Pittsburgh favored there as
Golly. Fighting Pat Narduzzi's. And then
Narduzzi been running his mouth all offseason.
he has. We lost Jordan Addison. He lost his.
He lost Pickett.
He lost Pickett, and then he lost
and he lost Addison.
And he won the best wide receiver award. Was it the Bednarik?
The Biletnikoff.
The Biletnikoff. Yeah, you lose your Biletnikoff winner to USC, and it just here's how NIL works.
They traded though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They got USC's quarterback now, Kendall Slovis.
Oh.
Yeah.
They got Slovis, and then
And
Jackson
JT
Dart went to Ole Miss.
Yep.
And then
JT Daniels.
JT Daniels goes from USC to Georgia, now to
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Wow.
That was
Where
their
JT
three. That was
Daniels is?
USC's 3 quarterbacks at one time: Jackson Dart, JT Daniels, and
I mean,
Slovis.
you'll probably look up.
Can't win with them.
You'll probably look up in week 4 of SEC football and see Max Johnson and TJ Finley starting.
Or in the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know about Max. TJ's gonna start. Obviously, that's out. But
Yeah.
Max.
But I mean,
I thought he was going to win that job.
So did I, and I think that at some point he
Jimbo's
will.
guy.
I think he at some point he will. Who, Haynes King?
Yeah, he loves
does.
him.
He said that was
And
his
he-
quarterback.
Yeah, he looked impressive until he got hurt. I thought Haynes King.
King?
Yeah, he
Yes,
looked.
he
He
did.
looked really good last
He
year
did.
until he
He
got
did.
hurt.
But it was when you looked at Max Johnson, I think from understanding the offense, I think at some point he's going to play at Texas A&M, and I think who's the most popular player in town?
Backup quarterback.
Every town, doesn't matter who you are, who you play for. I mean, at some point, TJ Finley's going to feel the pressure as the starter, and they're going to look at a guy in Calzada who beat him last year in the finale, to the locals. He looks like the guy. And as soon as TJ makes one mistake, they're going to be calling for Calzada. Same thing that's probably at some point going to happen with Haynes King and Max Johnson. So, both of them are probably, if I'd have given you this scenario 6 months ago and said Max Johnson, TJ Finley,
I would have picked Max Johnson to be the starter.
on different campuses, one starting for either Texas A&M or Auburn, who you got?
Max Johnson for 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
Here you go.
TJ Finley, he's improved a lot. He's obviously improved a lot, and I think that, I really think that he should be able to. I hope so, that it doesn't turn bad for Finley, Harsin, Auburn, and the crew, because it feels like that is
It's not a boat you want to be on.
that's not the one you want to be sailing with.
As long as
right
they
now,
don't fire
man.
that young lady they got working over there. As long
She
as
got a
doesn't get
promotion.
fired. Oh, she did?
I'd imagine.
Wow.
Well, they ran
didn't know.
they ran the AD on Friday.
Oh,
It
it was him or her.
Yep.
Had to pick.
And if you think about what
Love conquers all.
what is Alan Green, I believe was the guy's name. Alan Green was the AD. He's experienced a lot of success in Auburn athletics since he's been there. Bruce Pearl's going to the Final Four. Their baseball team's going to the College World Series. The football program, I believe, is got a $100 million expansion to a facility on the way. That's all happened on his watch. But some of the boosters, some of the big time donors didn't agree with the way that he was running business, and they built a crusade against him, and they tried to take him down a couple of times, and they swung and missed, and they finally got him on Friday. the resignation and stepping down and all that. So he got fired. You know, I mean, like that guy was forced out of there. And the allies for Brian Harsin are, I mean, he's losing them by the minute, it feels like, on the Plains. It just feels like a very uncomfortable situation.
Well, you talk about the backup being the most popular guy on campus. That was TJ Finley last year.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we got the call, because Bo Nix was Bo Nixon out there. And then they're like, well, let's see what TJ Finley can do. And he comes in and plays a couple games, and they're like, all right, kind of want Bo Nix back. And so I don't know what has changed over the, I guess, year. But it feels like TJ Finley, when you saw him, you pretty much know exactly what you're going to get. I don't know if you can make that jump to what he needs to do in terms of offensively that you're like, this is my starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Like if he was starting at LSU, I would be shocked if he was here and he was the starter, right? Like you don't feel like you're in a great – I love TJ Finley. He's a great interview, great kid. But I'm saying in terms of who you want playing quarterback, it doesn't feel like he's really the answer for anybody in the SEC. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, it gives him an opportunity. It gives him a great opportunity to play. I'm with you on that in the sense of, I mean, it's just I wouldn't feel good for LSU if TJ was named the starting quarterback, a lot like the reason why we spelled out for Miles Brennan why it didn't make sense for him to play in this offense, because while TJ is, more mobile than Brennan was, he's still the he's a essential pocket passer. And, I mean, whether or not, I don't know exactly what Brian Harsin and Auburn want to do offensively, but, for what LSU's doing, it just feels like, bad fit. All right, speaking of good information, our guy Wilson Alexander over at The Advocate's got that for us every single time we tap into him. And it is opening game weekend here. We heard the SEC media teleconference yesterday, so let's check in with our guy from The Advocate. We'll actually talk to one of his coworkers, Zach Ewing, coming up here in a couple of minutes and get some picks for opening college football weekend. Compliments of our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Wilson, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. I'm exhausted. How are you?
He's up late with Shea.
Yes. It's game week, right? I mean, why are you feeling so exhausted right here on Thursday? Is it just caught up to you of all this coverage here?
Absolutely. We've hit it hard over at The Advocate with a lot come out every single day and some big stuff that hasn't even come out just yet. So that's why we're feeling it a little bit maybe. But hey, it's game week. Football's back, so I think we can all be happy about that.
Daniels or Nussmeier? Off the top rope.
You have to read The Advocate to find out.
Get the subscription.
Yeah.
It's tough to make a prediction with like 100% degree of confidence without them, having named a starter and all of that. And you're told that ever practice that they're still running a lot of reps. I think part of that is because of what Brian Kelly does with his quarterbacks, which is the backup receives 40% of the snaps usually, and so they. Who's not going to be the starter is getting a lot of run, and Brian Kelly said that both guys can contribute. All that being said, and then with the major caveat, I sort of think we'll get the first reps in this game just because he's getting the first reps, and then before when they start to rotate at practice, and he's the guy with the experience, having started a few years at Arizona State there, that kind of maybe gives you that element of maybe a little bit. Not going to be overwhelmed by what's happening. I mean, Garrett got some playing time last year in the Arkansas game, but he's never started, and that's something that has to be considered.
Wilson, one of the guys that we haven't talked about enough, it feels like, on this platform, but if you ask around the program, everybody seems to bring up, is Mekhi Wingo, the transferred defensive lineman from Missouri. That is a very talented and deep room that he transferred into. Where does he fit in after watching fall practice and talking to your sources over there? What do you expect from Wingo here this season?
He's a key rotational piece on that defensive line. He was an all-SEC freshman at Missouri last year, and that's nothing to ignore. He's got a low center of gravity that makes him pretty difficult to push off his spot, and It doesn't seem to be a starter when you have Mason Smith and Jaquelin Roy ahead of him, but he's a key rotational player because they do want to be able to rotate on that front. The guys that tackle, they tend to rotate a little bit during the game, and he's going to be a key part of that. it's interesting with him. He talked about just this past week coming over to LSU. The big emphasis for him was stopping the run, getting better at that. He feels he's gotten a lot better at that. And another thing that sort of gives you confidence that LSU that likes him, which they do. He was one of the award winners of summer workouts. He got an award from Jake Flynn over that, like the one person in the whole team. It was Mekhi Wingo.
What about the cornerback rotation? How do you expect them to start there, and what do you expect to see there?
I expect Jarek Bernard-Converse to be your wide field corner. LSU with this new staff looks at it as a wide field corner and a short field corner, playing to the field and to the boundary. And Jarek will probably be that guy playing to the field. To the boundary, I really don't know at this point. We keep seeing Colby Richardson had been out there with the ones. And so, maybe it's the transfer from McNeese State who goes in there and takes a starting job. But, part of that could be because of Seven Banks, was limited for a good bit of the preseason here. As he was kind of working his way back, and he didn't get cleared until, he was sort of incrementally cleared in, to do things 7-on-7 and then full team, because they really like him as a short field corner as well. But maybe it ends up being Mekhi Garner. Then it could end up being a rotation there too. I feel confident Jarek will be, your wide field corner. That short field corner could be any one of those three guys, and I wouldn't be surprised.
How about safety? Safety is very interesting to me as far as just the guys and the selections that they have.
Jay Ward is definitely going to be one of your starters back there, and he's been steady throughout the preseason. Somebody who we haven't really talked about, just because what you're going to get out of him. But the other one, Major Burns has had a phenomenal camp. LSU talks so much about the people over there about what he does in terms of communication, which is vital in the back end. And as one of the safeties who can kind of come up into the box a little bit, he's able to really quickly process information and then spread that out and distill it and, communicate it to everybody else on the defense in the back end. That makes him a key piece of this. He's, he started 5 games last year before that foot injury that kept him out so long. And so it's been impressive, though, to see him overtake Joe, because Joe has so much starting experience at Arkansas. But that really just gives LSU two guys who you can rely on. Matt House said that LSU is going to use them both. So they'll end up using that safety, Jay, Major, and Joe all together, with Major and Joe kind of rotating. I guess maybe it's kind of strong safety.
How many deep do you think they go on the offensive line?
It's probably 7, maybe 8 at this point. You feel good about that starting 5 with Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger, Anthony Bradford, and Cam Wire. Trayvon Shorts is your number 6. Past that, Brian Kelly has said it's 7 or 8. So maybe it's Marcus Dumerville at tackle if they have to step up there. Maybe Emory Jones. They've talked about him a little bit here during camp as somebody who's coming on, but he's still a freshman, and has to continue to kind of make those adjustments to the college game. So those are kind of your 7 or 8 guys. And Charles Turner, as well at center. If something happened to Garrett, he'd be the guy that step in at center. So they feel pretty good about, some of the depth of that offensive line, that they can go 7, maybe 8 guys there.
What do you know about Florida State?
I know that they want to run the football.
Will they be able to do that against LSU's front 4?
That's I think what this game really boils down to is whether or not they can. Florida State, they rushed 54 times for 406 yards and 6 touchdowns. And you got to think, okay, well, that's Duquesne. So we'll see if they can do that against Mason Smith and the rest of those dudes on LSU's defensive front. Florida State's got some issues with the offensive line coming out of last season. They addressed some of that with the transfer portal, but center is still a really uncertain position because of some injuries, and that probably gives LSU a little bit of an advantage because Florida State, you saw in some of those sort of split back, things that they were doing last weekend, that with 2 running backs in the backfield along with Jordan Travis, that they were a good bit of runs up the middle. I don't know if LSU's going to let them do that. That's easy to do against Duquesne. But Mason Smith he's been a game wrecker during preseason camp. And this could be kind of that game where we've talked so much about the defensive line throughout the offseason, and this could, right off the gate, be a game that really shows what they're capable of.
Get some rest, Wilson. I'm super jealous that you wake up with your hair looking like that too, bro. Good information as well. Thank you as always, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, y'all. Have a good one.
There he is, Wilson Alexander. Make sure and check out all the coverage over at The Advocate. They got a lot of stuff coming up as far as the in-depth reporting on the LSU Florida State game. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Edward Jones. Edward Jones, Daniel Newman, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Get in touch with our friend if you're looking for sound financial advice, if you're just looking to move some money around, if you're looking for investment strategy, if you've got financial questions, get in touch with Daniel Newman. Daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Easiest way to get in touch with him, just by email. Daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's located out in central Louisiana, right there on Market Square Drive, across from Stabs. Stop in and visit him today if you got any questions. And remember, we tell you, if you work within the industrial space, if you work with Exxon, Dow, BASF, any of the chemical plants around the area, and you've got financial questions about 401k, Social Security benefits, where you should move money, invest money, whatever it may be, Daniel is very well versed on the financial codes of that industry. If you have any questions, get in touch with him. Daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. We'll take a break. We'll take a break and we'll talk our gambling picks with Zach Ewing from The Advocate. We go back to The Advocate offices as we will talk to Zach Ewing, compliments of our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook, about some of the plays this weekend. Our friend Tom Granning had a question about how to download the app. Simply just go to your Apple or Android app store, just type in Caesar Sportsbook, download the app, set up your profile, use the promo code FM, the letter F, the letter M, 15, when you sign up to save yourself some money. You'll bet up to $1,500 risk-free from our friends over at Caesars using that promo code FM15, Tom, and then you'll be open to play with Caesar Sportsbook. Make the deposit and start gambling, man. Start gaming. It's all legal here in the state of Louisiana, and we do it only with our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. We will talk to Zach Ewing next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy, Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Southern Eye Center is located at 6859 Jefferson Highway right here in Baton Rouge, has been serving your eyes for over 40 years in the capital region. They offer friendly service in a helpful environment with the highest level of personal care to manage your eye health and vision needs. If you want more information, log online to southerneyecenters.com. That is southerneyecenters.com. Stop in and check out their beautiful office located on Jefferson Highway right here in the capital city. And remember, each time you walk in there and you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, Dr. Ann Shaw and Southern Eye Centers will take 25% off of their fantastic selection of sunglasses. All you got to do is mention the Jordy Culotta Show. Check them out, southerneyecenters.com, and located at 6859 Jefferson Highway.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We're just bouncing down the hall at the Advocate, going office to office here. We leave Wilson Alexander's office after getting the inside information on LSU and Florida State this weekend, and we bounce over to the corner of the store where my man is setting lines and betting point spreads. Our guy, Zach Ewing, over at the Advocate. And a great partner of Caesar Sportsbook, just like we are over here at FM Digital Media. We'll be doing weekly hits with our guy, Zach, as hopefully we can get Zach into the studio here. Zach, good morning. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, Jordy. How are you doing? It's a fine time of year.
It is, buddy. It is.
Gambling guys don't get tired.
No, they
Look
do
at
not.
this guy.
You slept all winter. You coming out of hibernation through the winter, the summer, the spring, ready for this fall. No sleep, pounding the book all night. I don't know what that means.
We lost money on baseball and golf, so you got to make it up somewhere, you know.
Yeah, football is usually the easiest one to bet on.
Let's start in New Orleans this weekend and what's going on with LSU. Tell me about this spread, how this spread has kind of danced around, and how you like it here with our friends over at Caesars.
Yeah, it actually has been more stable than I might have thought when you've got two new head coaches, a lot of differing opinions out there. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Notre Dame. Not two new head coaches, but a new head coach in LSU, a new quarterback, just a really hard game to handicap in my mind. So it opened at LSU 3.5. It's kind of bounced back and forth. It's sitting at LSU -3 right now. This is really a no play for me personally. I know I'm going to have to make a pick, and I think I'm going to pick LSU, but I'm not taking my money to the bank on it because, I mean, you guys have been talking about it all summer long. How can you know exactly what to expect out of this Tigers team?
Yeah, no, you're right. And there is a lot of uncertainty with LSU. And I do think that New Orleans comes into play a little bit. And after watching Florida State last week, the line of scrimmage is where I feel like LSU is going to have the biggest advantage.
No, I agree, especially on the defensive line. When Florida State has the ball, I think the Seminoles will have a problem protecting the quarterback. establishing the run game. And if there is an advantage to be had, that's where it is. And that's why I think, gun to my head, I'll take LSU -3. I do think, and I know this is going to be boring for everybody, but I think the odds makers have it about right for LSU. I think it's going to be a close game. And even season long, you look at their win total of 7. I feel like if it's a good year, they're going to go 8-4. If it's a bad year, they're going to go 6-6 or 7-5. I mean, I really think that 7 is right on the money as far as what I would expect.
When you talk about the LSU line, obviously the win total at 7, but getting back to Florida State, do you see this line moving off that 3 number as it gets closer to game day? Do you see it going to 2.5 or 3.5? Because I feel like sitting at 3, you have some people out there that consider gambling. That might consider buying half a point.
Yeah, I think you could. I don't personally like buying points. They usually charge too much for it. And at 3, you could wind up with a push. Then you get your money back. That's always fun. You had 3 hours of entertainment for free at that point, so we'll take that. But if it moves, I think it'll move to LSU's side. Put it that way. I think, listen, gambling is legal in Louisiana. There's a casino right down the street at Harrah's that's opening up its new Caesar Sportsbook on Saturday. That's right. They're going to take some money on Friday and Saturday and even Sunday morning. Bless people's hearts. They're going to bet on Sunday morning too. So I think if it moves, it'll move to LSU's side. I don't know that is necessarily going to be sharp money. I think it's going to be people flooding New Orleans with bets.
Boozed up, throw it on the Tigers, baby.
What do you make about tonight? There are 5 games on the docket. All of them have pretty big numbers. There's some name brands out there as well, like Tennessee going off against Ball State at home tonight. But you're also seeing Pittsburgh and West Virginia. They've got some good games here on Thursday night action. Anything jump off to you from Caesar Sportsbook lines?
Tonight's games don't drive me wild. There are some games I like Saturday. If I had to pick tonight, I'd probably take Pitt -7.5. I feel like West Virginia is being overvalued, and they're not being valued much at all, honestly. But I think Troy Brown may be in trouble there, or Neil Brown from Troy may be in trouble there in Morgantown. And I guess the other one I would pick is Missouri. It's a big number, 20.5. Louisiana Tech's got a new coach. They're trying to run a new offense. Early in the season, those things can go south early, especially if you get beat up along the line of scrimmage.
What about Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh is in a pretty peculiar spot, right? When you're talking about Pat Narduzzi really being he kind of ran his mouth a lot all season. He lost his quarterback. He lost Jordan Addison. You mentioned the number. What type of pressure do you think he's going into the season with?
I don't know. I don't know if it's pressure like hot seat pressure, because the guy made the ACC championship last year. But it's, I mean, he's put some of it on himself, right? Like he's, excuse me, he's ramped up those expectations, and I kind of like that from a coach. I mean, to me, that means you don't do that if you don't like your team, right? And so when I look at that, I think Pitt may be in line for another pretty good year. I don't like West Virginia much. The hook bothers me on that line at 7.5, but I think I may be willing to lay it just to get in on some action tonight.
And then let's go to Saturday real quick, Zach, before we get you out of here. Just as far as games, it's hard in week 1 or to the start of the season not to look at everything and want to buy up everything just because of football being here. But is there anything that you look at just from your point of view that makes some sense going into this week 1 action?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I do like Notre Dame with the points. I know that's probably not the popular pick, but I think if you give them 17 points, I think that turns out to be a closer game than that, sort of like Ohio State, Oregon was last year. Not picking Notre Dame straight up, but I do think if I had to pick there, I'm taking the points rather than laying the points. San Diego State, going off the wall a little bit here out west. San Diego State is -6 against Arizona. I don't understand that line at all. Arizona was 1-11 last year. Most of those losses were double digits. San Diego State's got a great defense. Arizona did bring in a transfer quarterback, but that game's in San Diego. They're opening up their new stadium down there. that thing screams San Diego State to me. I like them by 10 to 15 points in that game. And then the other one that I'll give you is Cincinnati plus 6.5 at Arkansas. I know Cincinnati lost a lot from last year, but Arkansas, are we buying this team 2 years in a row? I mean, they caught some breaks last year. They lost a ton. This is a real good team coming into their house. I could see Cincinnati winning that game straight up.
I think that is one of the lines that definitely jumps out. The biggest game on paper this weekend from name brand is Notre Dame, Ohio State. That's a big number next to that game. Or is it big enough because of what people believe Ohio State? It kind of feels like Alabama, Ohio State going into the season, and this is an opportunity for Ohio State to flex. Is 17 enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I could see why it's at that line, because if it's any lower than that, people are just going to bet the living daylights out of Ohio State. People love to bet the favorites. They love to bet these teams they know can score points. I think Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame has something for him. I know that those players love to play for him. That line's actually ticked down this week. It was 17.5 a few days ago. It's now 17. I think it's going to stay in that area. You might see a 17.5 again Saturday morning. But I think Notre Dame keeps that game close. Now, whether that means it's a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter and Ohio State winds up covering, I just don't see it being one of ththose games that's 28-3 at halftime and the spread is decided by that point.
Zach, it's going to be cool having you on weekly, man. You are obviously sitting in a great role over at The Advocate, being the director of sports betting and gaming. Real quick before I get you out of here, how crazy is this kind of kick up of what's been the first year of gaming legalized here in Louisiana? How have you seen this tidal wave grow as it's about to crash again here on football season?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way to put it, because it's like you see the wave coming and it's going to be big, and then when you're riding it, it's a whole new ball game. I mean, so it's been spectacular for us. People can check us out at bet.nola.com. And we've got picks every day. We've got the lines. Our guy Jim Derry is our NFL expert. He's going to start doing NFL picks next week in depth. So we do shows every Monday and Thursday at 4:00. And so it's going to be spectacular. In fact, we'll be outside the Dome in the Caesars Sportsbook space on Sunday as well, doing a pregame show. So that's something we just couldn't have imagined doing a year ago. And now we're growing like crazy.
Zach, looking forward to it, man. Thank you for the time and jumping on with us this morning.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime.
You got it. There's Zach Ewing checking in from The Advocate, talking a little gambling with us, as he'll be with us weekly, talking our lines over at Caesars Sportsbook and getting you ready for the college football weekend. A lot on the docket to play, man. You got a full board here going into this weekend's action.
I was just on the Caesars Sportsbook app trying to copy some of his picks, but there is a boost out right now. LSU leading off to kickoff. LSU win and a booty touchdown, plus 270.
Let's go.
A little boost.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you got
just an LSU win and a
LSU,
Kayshawn
yeah.
touchdown.
All LSU has to do is win, and Kayshawn has to score.
I mean, if they roll those DBs out that they played with last
That's
week, man,
stealing.
Kayshawn might have two.
Max bet's a hundo. That's all you can put.
Okay.
Max bet's
Cap
$100.
Cap it.
Yeah.
All right.
Where'd you go?
Has the visor come in yet?
It hasn't.
What visor?
I went
His gambling visor, his green gambling visor.
well 30 piece, but I'm gonna sprinkle on it again before it dies. I'll probably get it up to 50.
You're a smart guy.
Yeah,
Easy.
Yeah, thank
Easy.
you.
I mean, in the betting world, Lloyd's a smart guy.
6-2 on the year. Watch out.
Oh, wow.
2 futures on the
Good
Rams
start.
last year.
Yeah.
Look at the guy.
I had the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Who's the future on this year?
I have one on for the NFL.
Yeah.
I have one on the Bucks because I think Tom Brady's swan song last season. I have one for him to win MVP as well because I think they're setting him up to ride into the sunset.
Hell yeah, let's go,
after
Tom.
he was done dirty by Sneffner and get the early league. So I think the NFL is going to do a make good there. And then I also have trendy pick, but a little sneaky just because I feel like they figured out this year is the Chargers. I feel like they have a good returning core, a ton of returning starters. Justin Herbert maybe takes that next leap. They're trying to put him in that conversation with Burrow. I think Burrow's better, but I think Herbert's in that kind of conversation with the roster they have around him.
Sneaky good defense.
Sneaky good defense.
Sneaky
Keenan
good
Allen
defense.
is just out there. Nobody wants to give him any flowers, but he's a stud.
Braden Fajoko made the 53.
I saw that. Did you see his interview after? When I put in the document yesterday, but he was like talking about telling his family, obviously, big family guy, if you remember 2018, 2019.
Sure.
All that stuff. But he talked about, he told his brother, he's like, we're going to be good. And he was like, I know you'll catch one somewhere, man. Like, I know you're going to make it. He's like, no, we're going to be good. And he's like, oh, shit, you made the team? He's like, he started crying. Then my mom hopped on the phone. Then my dad hopped on the phone. He's like, it was just awesome, man. Because
That's
he'd been
great.
cut 4 times.
Yeah.
And so he finally makes the 53.
That's a hell of a life, man. If you
Grinder.
commit to it, man, and you can jump on. We mentioned Justin Evans, the safety that made the team for New Orleans yesterday. He's been out of football for 3 years. I mean, he was once a high draft pick, had a lot of expectation, went through a lot of injury, torn Achilles, sat out of football for 3 years. Yep, Texas A&M. And now makes the Saints 53-man roster. And when you're just talking about making an NFL team, you know, that's an incredible feat in itself. When you make one of the upper echelon teams, when you make one of the contending teams like both Fehoko and Evans did, I mean, that's that 49th through 53rd spot that we're talking about. That's, you know, that's a chip of gold. That's a lottery ticket. You know what I mean? Like Fehoko explaining to his brother, you know, what that means for them to not just be on the team, but just the financial security that year of work allows for you to experience. I mean, those are the stories that throughout all of this stuff and being able to watch Hard Knocks and social media bringing that stuff alight, that's the coolest part about it now, man, is seeing those guys that are grinding, that are in it, that are committed to it, that never lose sight of the dream when it gets real shady and gets real dark, and they're able to kind of keep the focus and get it done. You know, I mean, that's 2 stories in itself of Evans down here in New Orleans, Fehoko out in Los Angeles with the Chargers, where he's been cut 4 times, stays with it, never gives up on it, and finds himself on maybe one of the best teams in the league. And Justin Evans at a position where the Saints have done a tremendous job of building depth and talent, right? I mean, if it's not, you know, Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, you're talking about guys like Bradley Roby. You're talking about guys like P.J. Williams. You're talking about guys like Justin Evans. I mean, players that they have back there that they've scouted so well. You know, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was back there 3 days ago. I mean, that was a position that the Saints had really spent capital on scouting, and Evans, after mixing 3 years of football and making that team, what a hell of an accomplishment, man. What an incredible accomplishment for Fehoko and Evans, and it's cool to see that stuff. Football season is here. Remember, daily we are brought to you by our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, 776-2431. That's the phone number, 225 area code, 225-776-2431. Number 1 and the number 2 business. They specialize in all works of plumbing, industrial, commercial, and residential. Cover Greater Baton Rouge to the Gulf Coast. They got 2 trucks in Baton Rouge every single day. So if you need some help over here, just get in touch with Jude Barker and the crew. 225-776-2431. We'll be back and close it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
We've seen the BK takeover stuff from LSU and social media, and really in his short time in Baton Rouge, there's been a lot of people embracing his approach to building this roster. What's it like to recruit alongside him?
Oh, it's been great. Coach has been awesome to me because he lets me be myself when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching. He lets his coaches coach, he lets his coaches recruit. So I have no complaints on that end. And when I need him to get in touch with a kid, he's there for me. The communication line has been great. He's just been nothing but supportive.
But this opportunity was different. You have a chance to come to a place with unbelievable tradition, work for the winningest head coach in college football. Just be at a state. I've never been at a state where football's king, and if you just dominate your state, you're going to get some of the best players that there are.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think, getting through spring, I mean, most of it was obviously just installing the offense. And I think all 4 guys really made some strides in terms of that and showed a lot of positives. Obviously, which, you guys get to talk about all the time. So you guys,
Sure.
But all 4 have done a great job. They did. I think they really did a really nice job in spring of taking strides forward individually, and everybody's different in terms of what they need to get better at and what they need to show. And then move it into summer, and I love the way they're working right now in the weight room for Coach Flint. But like I said, I think spring a lot was everything was new for everybody. So especially at the beginning, there wasn't as much evaluation, say the first few days, get into the flow, and then I think we got some good opportunities for some guys to get some reps, and I think everybody showed some positives.
Hey.
We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. I was in All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to all of our boys over at The Advocate today, Zach Ewing and Wilson Alexander for stopping by. Also, Shea Dixon, the newest member of On 3. Appreciate him coming through here this morning. Y'all have a great Thursday as Where My Dog's At will be with you at 6 o'clock this afternoon. We know who's in the kennel.
I think we're getting some
game time decision.
Some LSU players.
Little game time decision.
Oh, like on the roster?
Yeah.
Where My Dog's At coming up 6 p.m. Make sure that you are subscribed and are linked up to what's going on over here at FM Digital Media. Have a great day. If you're at the Zachary Rotary Club, we'll see you at noon. Hit that like and share button. All compliments to Go Chevrolet.